Are you actually improving as a rider while you're riding, or are you just surviving the trail and trying not to fall as you ride from top to bottom? Have you ever thought about intentionally practicing your riding skills during your ride? So many skills and drills that we teach on this channel are easy to do in the parking lot before or after a ride while you're waiting for your buddies to show up. But in today's video, we're going to show you 5 different ways to incorporate them while you're out riding. You might be thinking, but riding my bike is practice. And to that I would say, how much of that riding is focused or repetitive practice? The way we improve is not by doing something one time every now and then. We build our control and confidence as riders by repeating a skill over and over until we have it locked in. My name is Aaron. Welcome to Super Rider. On this channel, we break down complex bike skills into easy to learn techniques so you can quickly apply it to your riding. Today we're riding one of my absolute favorite mountain bike trails, and for today's ride, I've actually got a brand new bike. This is the Marin Alpine Trail 1, and what's special about today's ride is that I haven't updated this bike with any of my parts yet. I pulled it directly out of the box because I just want to see how this bike rides the way that it shows up. So obviously I'm going to swap out a few pieces here and there eventually, but this is basically bone stock. This is how the bike shows up, and we're going to take it out and give it a proper test today. The reason why I've been so excited to ride this trail is that we normally ride down it, not up. When I first started riding here around 2005, I actually just rode a downhill bike here, so you can see how things have changed. I felt like this spot would really challenge me, and that's why I thought it would also be a great place to test out the new Marin Alpine Trail. I think one of the things that makes this bike so cool is how versatile it actually is. There's 12 different configurations that you can have on this bike, and you can make these swaps so easily by just hitting these little flip chips that are in the bike. So it's just this little piece of metal that you turn around, and it gives you different options with the geometry and setup. You can even change out the headset to give it a steeper or slacker head angle. So there's a ton of different stuff that you can do with this bike to make it ride and feel exactly how you want it. Right now I'm riding the 27.5 rear wheel because this is how it came out of the box. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with the 27.5 in back or if I'll go back to 29. The bike I've been riding, the Rift Zone 2, is a 29 on both wheels. So yeah, that's kind of what today's ride is all about, to get a good feel for this bike and see what it's all about and see what I like and what I want to update. Today's ride is practice for me as well as adjusting to a new bike. So I wanted to share some of the things that I think about when I'm out riding and trying to make the most of my time on the trail. One of the best tips that I've ever gotten as a mountain biker was this. You can strengthen your bike balance and control by riding super slow downhill. If you've watched any other videos on this channel, you know that I teach this in a variety of different ways, including riding down staircases. Riding super slow forces your body to do more work to keep your balance, and as a result, you start to build muscle memory with all the little ways that your body can help keep the bike balanced. When you speed up again, those same muscles are working to keep you balanced, and you'll feel a boost of control as a result. Out here on the trail, riding a downhill section intentionally slow can do that exact same function. The slower you ride, the harder it gets, and that's helping you to become a better rider with more control. You could practice this anywhere on the trail, but on today's ride, I chose one of the more difficult spots to demonstrate this skill. If you find a spot with technical features like this, it's even more challenging, but even more fun too. Next, have you ever considered getting off your bike and riding a section for a second time? I know a bunch of pro riders that do this when they're out riding, but it's not very common otherwise. Riding a section until you get it down is a great way to actually practice on the trail, plus you get a little mini bonus lap while you're riding. Think about BMX or trials riders who repetitively ride the same feature over and over again to improve. That's exactly what you could do if you pushed back up to the top of a difficult section and rode it a second time. You've heard me say that practice makes progress, and that absolutely applies to the trail. We often use our GoPros to film our point of view as we ride down the trail, but one way to use a GoPro or your phone to help you improve is to have your riding buddy film you riding through a section of trail. What we think we're doing on the bike is often quite a bit different from what we're actually doing. And when you see your movements on the bike on camera, it helps give you a better perspective on your technique. Combine this with the practicing advice that I just mentioned, and you've got a powerful boost to your riding on the trail. Here's a pro tip. Don't forget to turn the camera around and film your friends while they're riding too. Okay, if you've already watched my tutorial on the 2-wheel hops, this will be slightly easier as the next tip is related to that skill. When you get to a difficult spot on the trail, don't automatically step off the bike right away. try to give your bike a hop or two and see if just resetting the wheel placement or your balance on the bike will be enough to get you back on track. You can see in some of my clips that I use more than a few of these hops to save the day when I get stuck, which is one way to do it. But you may only need 1 or 2 hops to readjust the bike to get back on track. And if that doesn't work, then you can step off the bike like you had originally planned. But at least try to incorporate this skill before you step off. I think you'll find it extremely useful. Another thing to think about while you're riding is something called pedal timing. When you pedal up onto an obstacle, you try to time out your pedal strokes so that you can land on top of the obstacle with your strong foot forward. This is another technique that we've gone over in a previous video, which I'll link to now. To get the strongest results as we pedal, we have to concentrate on when we start pedaling and which pedal is forward. Most of the time, this is sort of an afterthought, but it's an easy thing to focus on when you're riding, and you'll start to see some patterns developing. When you concentrate on this timing and developing it, you'll also recognize how powerful it can be to improve your riding, especially when it comes to getting up and over obstacles. There's one thing that really matters to me when I'm working on pedal timing though, and that's the engagement points in the rear wheel. The reason why you see me running Industry 9 hubs on the back of all of my bikes is because these hubs have a ton of engagement, which means that as soon as I start pedaling, the power immediately transfers to the back wheel. This is the most important upgrade that I would do to any bike, because if you don't have instant engagement, it can make an impact on your pedal timing when you're trying to climb up and over obstacles. You have that extra gap in your pedal where you're moving the pedals, but the wheel hasn't caught up, which can impact your power on climbs. I have Industry 9 hubs on all of my bikes for exactly this reason, and if you spend any money to upgrade your bike, this is always my first recommendation. There's a link in the description of this video if you want to upgrade your bike, and using that link will not only get you the best hub for your money, but it will also help out this channel in the process. Okay, so what else would I change on this bike now that I've ridden it? Not much. I'm kind of blown away that this bike is only $3,200. The suspension is solid, the brakes are good, and this frame has a ton of adjustability. You can ride this bike hard right out of the box, just like I did today. I think my biggest mistake on this bike was not putting snacks in the bear box that's built right into the bike. I could have used those on the way home from the ride, and I definitely won't make that mistake again. I might play around with the high and low bottom bracket options just for fun, but otherwise I think I'm going to leave everything else where I have it. This is the first proper mullet bike that I've ridden, and I think I'll keep the 27.5 wheel in the back for now. But maybe we can do a test video this summer where we swap the wheels and test it out, just to see what difference it makes. This Marin Alpine Trail was just released a few weeks ago, and if you like the way this bike looks or the way I rode it, you can get one for yourself. There's a link in the description to this bike if you want to check it out or pick one up. This is going to be the bike that I ride for the rest of the season, and I absolutely can't wait to get more time with it. It felt capable of everything I threw at it today on the trail, and I've got some big things planned for this summer.